Palantir, some things have changed massively for Palantir stock moving forward now at this point in time. Here today, the stock was up over 8 percentage points during the trading day. It seemed like folks maybe either knew something or they're front running some of this information that was transpiring after hours here today. We have some crazy numbers to go through in this video and one disappointing thing as well. We also are going to go through some very important parts of the shareholder letter that Alex Karp sent to shareholders here today. There's a few very important key things that are really changing this business moving forward, okay? And then we're going to discuss one important thing that happened, I thought, on the conference call. There was something that could have been overlooked that mattered in a significant way. Busy video here today, folks, all focused on Palantir. Appreciate y'all being here. As I always ask, just hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. That's all I ask in return for today's video. If you're looking to apply and join my private group, there'll be the pinned comment down there. We have one of the best, if not the best, Palantir community you'll ever find out there. Just always keep it up to date. So if you would like to join our Palantir community, apply with the pinned comment down there. You also get access to obviously all my course curriculums, get access to all the other communities and things like that. Alrighty, so where I want to start out here is a few huge things. Okay, U.S. commercial growth continues to be absolutely phenomenal on what Palantir calls the AIP revolution. 40% U.S. commercial revenue growth on a year-over-year basis, 14% on a quarter-over-quarter basis. So a very nice sequential growth. U.S. commercial is a whole different growth stratosphere. 69% year-over-year growth in U.S. commercial, 19% quarter-over-quarter on the customer count. So that's very important that we're still seeing growth not only on a year-over-year basis in a substantial way, but on a sequential basis as well. That's something you want to look at to kind of figure out, like, is a company going to be able to continue to grow at very fast rates or not on a sequential basis? Then I thought this was probably the most overlooked thing, what I'm showing you right there, okay? U.S. commercial remaining deal value, 74% up year over year. U.S. commercial remaining deal value was up 14 percentage points on a quarter over quarter basis. On top of that, U.S. commercial total contract value was up to $286 million, and check this out here. 131% year-over-year growth in U.S. commercial total contract value. That's big, folks, okay? That's backlog. That means, the business is going to be looking very wealthy, healthy, and stealthy for quite a while to go in the future, okay? Now, also, check this out. We achieved GAAP profitability for the 6th consecutive quarter. Look at this GAAP net income, right? You look back a few quarters ago, they were losing $100 million plus. Now GAAP net income of over $100 million. This is something I saw coming long before they actually flipped that profitability, but you could see the financial statements getting in that better and better place. And sure enough, they have flipped it in a massive way, man. What a change in a matter of just a few quarters. Imagine what Palantir can do over the next 5 years. I mean, Palantir's been able to pull off this miracle in a matter of a few quarters. I mean, what can they do over the next 5 years, 10 years? I ask you that, right? GAAP operating income. This is important because, I try to always hear out bear points or anybody talks negative about a stock that I hold. I want to hear out, what do they have to say? Well, in regards to Palantir, there's not much you can say, but one of the things, at least last year, was, well, the company was not looking good on an operating income basis. Yeah, they were profitable on the bottom line, but it was just because of interest income. Well, when you look at operating income, that does not factor that in. So GAAP, and you can't cheat this is generally accepted accounting principles. Okay, it's not like it's a non-GAAP number. This is GAAP operating income. So check this out. If you go back to Q3 2022, about a $62 million GAAP operating loss, and now they've gotten to a place where this past quarter, they just grew nearly $81 million of positive operating income, looking very good. Look where they were at this time last year, $4 million. What a change. Commercial revenue growth, 27% up year over year. U.S. commercial revenue growth up 40% year over year. Now, what that shows you, very important to understand, is the U.S. commercial market is growing rapidly, very quickly. Now, in regards to conference call, and we'll talk about some other important things on the conference call, Alex Karp when talking about the international market, he says it's a bit of a struggle in that market for two reasons. One, he talks about the economy, and he talks about the economy in Europe not being too good and flatlining potential GDP here. He also spoke about just kind of an overall, just international market in Europe specifically. They just don't move fast enough. U.S. companies are very sold on AI and how it can help transform their businesses and things like that. And a lot of the European companies, it just moves slower. So that was kind of something he spoke about there. Now, in regards to something that it was very hard to find bad things in this quarter, very hard. But if you want to know one bad thing, maybe in this quarter, I'll show you the one bad thing for Palantir. Here it is right here. Government revenue, 16% up year over year. Now, improvement, no doubt, but it's a very slow growing situation. U.S. government revenue growth of 12%. Very sleepy numbers for Palantir, right? You look at that growth rate and you look at this growth rate, we're over a 3x. U.S. commercial revenue growth is over a 3x of what U.S. government revenue is, right? So, keep in mind, the commercial business is such a smaller business, right? So, to be helping out the overall numbers more, the growth rate has to be ridiculous because you're coming off of a base of a lot smaller base, right? Versus government is a $200+ million business, and this is like $100 million something business, right? So just a little food for thought in regards to that. This is one of very few holes you can poke in the business. Government business is just weak, relatively weak, I should say, right? Q1 2024. Adjusted operating income. I don't like adjusted numbers. They're not my favorite, but a lot of people do put emphasis on adjusted numbers. Adjusted operating margin came in at 36%. Whew, it's a good number. And then $226 million there of adjusted operating income versus if you go back to the same quarter last year, 24% adjusted operating margin there and $125 million. Huge improvements year over year for the company. U.S. commercial customer count. 69% year-over-year growth. Wow. 19% on a sequential basis, quarter over quarter. Customer count grew 42% year over year. Love to see it. And another 11% on a quarter over quarter basis. That's great to see that acceleration. Look at that, 8%, 8%, 10, and then up to 11% there, right? Love to see that. Commercial customer count grew 53% year over year. I mean, look at that, from 8% to 9%, 14%, 14%. Commercial customer count, phenomenal. One of the things they showed, I didn't prep this as a slide, but there was something I saw that was really amazing, okay? I'll tell you that in just a moment. During the first quarter, 87 deals closed of at least $1 million. Oh my gosh, it's insane. 87 deals of at least $1 million. And that's just in one quarter they closed that many. 27 were at least $5 million, and 15 of which were at least $10 million. Woo-wee! I love it. Love it. Now, there was an important slide. I wish I would have showed you guys this slide. It was in their, if I recall, their presentation, Palantir's presentation. I thought this slide mattered significantly. It was from General Mills. And what General Mills said is they said that basically Palantir was able to save them about $14 million annually. And they said this was only, Palantir's product was not even distributed throughout the organization. It was only in one kind of segment. Now, the reason that's so huge is remember what I always tell you guys about Palantir. What I always tell you guys about Palantir. All that matters, people say, oh, the product's so expensive. People spend $1 million, $5 million, $10 million plus on the product. It's so expensive. Their top customers spending, an average of $55 million a year or some insane amount on Palantir. Yes, it's a very expensive product. There's no doubt about that. But all that matters at the end of the day is Palantir saves you or makes you more money than what you spend on Palantir. And so the General Mills example, General Mills is using that in part of their business, saves them $14 million annually, right? Let's say hypothetically, General Mills is spending $7 million a year for Palantir software, right? Well, if Palantir is saving General Mills $14 million and they're only spending $7 million, it's a 2x ROI. It's a no-brainer. You're going to stay signed up for Palantir for years and years and years to go in the future, right? Now, on top of that, it's only used in one segment of General Mills. So if it's that successful in just one segment of General Mills, well, General Mills is going to probably want to expand Palantir, which gives them, it's not just about Palantir is going to try to grab more and more new customers. It's about Palantir inside these big companies, because these companies are massive, having a success inside that organization, and then being able to sell to this other segment of organization inside the company, right? That's the magic with Palantir. That's the true magic. It's multiple opportunities all at once, right? And so hopefully, let's say they have a $7 million a year contract with General Mills. I'm just throwing that number out. I have no clue what their contract is. I'm just throwing it out, $7 million. Well, if they expand much more rapidly, next thing you know, they might have a $10 million, $15 million, $50 million contract with General Mills before it's all said and done, right? If they can really help offset that. It's very important to understand that. Now, on top of that, they ended the quarter with $3.9 billion in cash equivalents, U.S. Treasury securities, and no debt. They are set up very well. They're doing a little bit of their share buyback, but it seems like they're very focused on making a lot of money from treasuries right now, which my opinion is suck up as much money as you can get from treasuries right now. I think all companies should do that. I think Apple should do that as well, rather than focus on buybacks. Suck up every penny, because I don't think you're going to be able to get 5% plus from treasuries forever. And so I think if you can lock in that 5% plus and you're a big company, you have money sitting around, lock it in right now. Get that 5.2%, 5.3, whatever, and let that money roll in. Because we know once the Fed starts cutting, they're going to probably keep cutting and keep cutting. And then if the economy ever goes really south and unemployment goes up in any substantial way, we know the Fed's going to cut to probably 2% Fed funds. Or if things get bad enough, they'll cut all the way down to under 1% again. They'll cut down to 0%. And then you're getting no 5-point-something% on treasuries anymore at that time. So, I don't think we have forever to get 5% plus on treasuries. Now, if you look at their guide here for the next quarter, they guided for a midpoint of about $651 million. Analysts were at about $643 million from what I saw. So, we can call it about $8 million beat there. Keep in mind, Palantir could be sandbagging that a bit. So midpoint's, 651. Maybe they come in with the 655, 660, 665. I think Karp and the team is understands a little bit of the game of Wall Street and making sure you don't put a number out there that you're not going to hit, because it's very embarrassing. It's usually very negative for stock price. No one wants to see the headline about Palantir misses on revenue, right? So it's a little food for thought in regards to that. Now, this is important. The full year. Okay, the full year guidance was supposedly lighter than analysts, but I looked and it looks like it's roughly in line with where the analysts are at from what I saw. But CNBC's headline, oh my gosh, it was ridiculous. CNBC's headline said, "Oh, Palantir's got light revenue," and I'm like, what? What are they talking about? I looked at the numbers. I'm like, basically, that's like the same numbers. Now, if you do keep in mind, Palantir's probably sandbagging, right? Look at their growth rates. Look at how much momentum they have in the business model. Probably sandbagging there. Probably, okay. U.S. commercial revenue growth, they're guiding for the full year, $661 million, representing a growth rate of at least 45%. When a company says we're going to grow at a rate at least, that's basically a way of a company saying we're going to grow so much, we don't even know how much we're going to grow. It's just going to be a lot. So we're just going to throw out a number that we know we got in the bag, and that can be that, right? That's where Palantir's at least 45%. That's a flexing of a number. Adjusted income from operations, they're talking about $868 million to $880 million. Adjusted free cash flow, $800 million to $1 billion. GAAP operating income and net income in each quarter this year. That does not come as a surprise at all to me. Now, Karp, he said a few important things in his letter to shareholders, I thought, okay? First up here, he says, our business is now growing at a scale and a pace that even our most ardent advocates, Karp's always got to use some random big word, right? It's not even a big word. It's just a random word. Like, who says ardent? Advocates would have been hard-pressed to say was likely or even possible. We generated $634 million in revenue in the first quarter of 2024 alone, representing 21% increase over the prior year, and significantly surpassing the upper end of our guidance. In addition, the profits we promised would come, and the skeptics repeatedly and confidently said were beyond us have now arrived. In the 3 months ending March 31st, 2024, we earned $106 million, the largest quarterly profit in our company's 20-year history. For comparison, we now earn more profit in a single quarter than the amount of revenue we generated in an entire year a little more than a decade ago, right? And so that was just kind of, in my opinion, Carp flexing on the haters a little bit there, the short sellers, those sorts of folks, because, definitely Carp in Palantir, they're one of those companies that attracts a lot of, people that don't like it. They don't like him. They don't like his approach. They don't like his arrogance sometimes and those sorts of things, right? This shows you the net income by quarter over time from $17 million at this time last year to now $106 million. Woo! Woo! Over a 5X, folks. Our central insight and the most foundational commitment is that software products we are building, their strength and sophistication, must remain at the center of our company. We've been investing in and refining our enterprise software platforms for years, and a growing portion of the American corporate sector is now coming to us, more aware than ever how significant artificial intelligence and large language models, LLMs, will be in reshaping the industries within which they operate. Now, that's important because key word is American corporate sector is now coming to us. It's always a great feeling when you as a CEO or you run a business and you don't have to chase down your customers. Your customers are chasing down you, right? That is valuable. That is great. You love that. If you were a company that was, you made custom closets, you wouldn't want to necessarily have to hunt down customers and hope to find rich people to then kind of throw your business card out there and say, hey, I build custom closets. You want a custom closet in your house. It's much more better if those people are coming to you and saying, hey, I would love you to build me a custom closet, right? That's important. It totally changes the value proposition. Other companies engage in intricate and elaborate efforts to sell and market their offerings. Their resources are focused on marketing at the expense of actually constructing the software and building the systems that they hope to sell. We've taken a different approach. We are now investing even more heavily in simply leading potential partners to use our software in order for them to decide what works for them and not for what does work and not for themselves. Now, that's shots at competition, right? Because Carp has a view, and this is not the first time Carp's taken shots at competition. He's done that. He's got a viewpoint of these companies will, create some sort of initial product, and then that's about it. And the product, is not what the customers thought it was, right? And they don't really focus on making it better. And Carp says, we really focus on the product and making sure the product's a banger and making that product better and better and better, right? And as somebody that, I certainly don't run something as complicated as Palantir, but even with the 1000X, site and whatnot, right? And building that out, like there's a few different approaches I could take. One is we have the initial product and just keep it like that forever, and that is what it is, right? My approach is I just want to make it better and better. So I keep developers on payroll. I keep plenty of people on payroll, constantly making sure 1000xstocks.com is better and better, constantly saying, hey, we need to fix this. We need to add this. We're working on stuff in the background all the time. That's valuable. That creates a long-lasting product rather than I could say, instead of spending that money on creating a better product and trying to take things to the next level, let me just spend it on advertising, right? You can take those approaches when you have any sort of software. You can advertise your way and just try to, sell it out there, or you can focus on continuing to make your product better and better and greater so people are delighted and they stay signed up for it and they love it and they want to, re-sign in future years. That's what Palantir's focused on, continue to make it better and better. And they've been focused on that, while maybe others have just focused on marketing, right? In the last quarter alone, we conducted more than 660 boot camps within organizations across industries and sectors, providing potential partners with an opportunity to test and begin building on our platforms. These enterprises cannot wait for custom solutions to be built, and they are unwilling to invest in software systems that might work someday down the road. They need results now, and we believe that we are the only platform that works. That's more shots at competition. That's more kind of, Carp boasting about what they have today, what companies can utilize today, right? And that's a lot of boot camps, man. In the last quarter, conducted more than 660 boot camps And, when they were kind of talking about some of the different sectors and areas and some of their clients, I mean, it's everybody. It's across so many different industries and sectors. This is amazing, amazing. The software platforms we have built make possible quantifiable and transformative results for the enterprise. Our partners need the right software infrastructure, the underlying technical architecture that is preconditioned for effectively enabling write-back functions, data lineage tracking, LLMs, large language models, and more generally, the handoff between human and algorithmic. I can never say that word right, can I? Algorithmic agents in order to make artificial intelligence work. Our intention is to make our artificial intelligence platform, AIP, the most dominant infrastructure in the market and power the most effective deployment of artificial intelligence and large language models across institutions. To that end, we are working to make AIP available to an even broader range of organizations in the markets that we serve, including businesses across the United States and abroad, state and local government agencies, as well as research scientists and academic institutions. Now, when we look at Palantir's income statement here, okay, this is a grade A, folks. This is a grade A. This is very, very impressive. The revenue was up about, we can call it $109 million year over year. Meanwhile, their cost of revenue only increased about $9 million year over year. So, you don't have to be that great at math to understand if a company increases their revenue at a $109 million pace and then their cost of revenue only increased at $9 million, their gross profit is going to go to the moon, right? That's exactly what we witnessed. Gross profit for Palantir was up over $100 million on a year-over-year basis. Incredible. Yeah, that's going to help out your profitability a whole lot. Now, the other fascinating thing was, and I think a lot of people miss this, and I'm like, this is so important. Sales and marketing was only up about $6 million for the company year over year. But keep in mind, they increased revenue $109 million. Only a $6 million raise in sales and marketing. That's impressive. So part of me says, what if we had increased sales and marketing $12 million? Would that revenue have been up $120 million, $130 million, $150 million? Those are things I start to wonder, right? Would it have been up $200 million? I don't know if it would have been that dramatic, but maybe they're a little underhired on sales and marketing. It's very, very possible, right? Research and development, $110 million. That's up from $90 million. So they're clearly spending on R&D. They're continuing to, this is another $20 million a quarter they're spending at right now versus last year. So that clearly means they're working on their product to make it better and better and better. And maybe they're probably working on also future products and services we don't even see in the marketplace right now. Then maybe we will see a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. Keep that in mind, okay? General and administrative was actually down for the company year over year. That was very impressive to see, especially when your revenues are up that much. If your G&A can go down while your revenues go up that much, it's a very positive sign. So total operating expenses, they kept that in check. Income from operations went to the moon. I mean, income from operations was a little over $4 million in the same quarter last year, and they just did over $80 million of operating income. Income from operations. So basically the same thing. So basically what that's telling you is that's like a 20x on a year-over-year basis. Incredible. Interest income, $43 million versus $20 million in the same quarter last year. They did have some other expense here that hurt them a little bit, about $13.5 million, right? Versus only $4 million in the same quarter last year. Income before income taxes, $110 million versus $20 million same quarter last year. Net income, $106 million versus $19 million in the same quarter last year. Diluted EPS, 4 cents. Their adjusted number was 8 cents, which was right in line with Wall Street. Very impressive income statement there. Now, on the conference call, there was a few interesting moments in that conference call, but one I thought was very interesting is Karp was basically talking about the sales process, right? In regards to, okay, they're having all these boot camps. They're getting a lot of people interested in the product. Great. But he was talking about it's very early in the sales process days in terms of making sure they refine their sales process to make sure when they have one of those boot camps, they're converting, right? And the conversion cycle is very seamless and they actually make money off it at the end of the day, right? And so he was talking about it's still very early days, which is true. I can tell you their sales process 2 years from now or 3 years from now or 5 years from now is going to be dramatically better than where it is today, right? I mean, AIP, no one even knew about AIP really a year ago or so. And now all of a sudden it's this big thing that everybody that knows anything about Palantir knows about AIP, right? So I thought that was very important. Basically, Palantir is not even remotely close to maxing out how much money they could be making, okay? Now, also from what I heard, from what the woman on CNBC said, okay, she said she talked to Karp. And I had trouble finding this anywhere else other than what she said on CNBC. She said she talked to Karp, and Karp was basically kind of dissing on the sales team. I mean, basically what she said sounded like the sales team, like Karp's actually not happy with the sales team. That's the overall gist of it, okay? Based upon what she said, Karp said, sounds like he's not happy with the sales team. So they might need to do some hiring there. And to be quite frank, I don't mind it if they take their sales and marketing number, right? What was that, 196 million or so there? 193 million, okay? At this point in time, they're growing revenue so rapidly. If they grew that to $205 million in the next quarter, I don't mind. Or even 210, I don't mind. Because they're seeing such a great increase in revenue, and because their profitability is really in a good place, I'm all for, sales and marketing. And maybe they might not have some of the right people there. Maybe they need to get some of those people out. But when you've got revenue increasing $100 million plus on a year-over-year basis a quarter, you got some wiggle room to add to sales and marketing team. So I think that's something Karp and the team could do, and maybe revenue will be even better, right? Now, in regards to stock and the stock price, right? So stocks, basically whatever happened today, it's basically given back, right? At the end of the day, this is all meaningless. At the end of the day, if Palantir keeps these fundamentals of business going and keeps these growth rates up and gets that government business going even better, the stock's going much higher long term. So all those day-to-day fluctuations, in the end, it's not going to matter. All that matters is those company fundamentals, that revenue, that operating income, that net income, that customer count, that commercial business getting to a bigger and bigger base. And keep in mind, those percentages, even if the percentages come down, if the base is bigger and bigger, the numbers are going to be much, much bigger, right? And so I say a company that the fundamentals are just getting bigger. And at the end of the day, here's a deal for a long-term investor like me. If Palantir's $22 tomorrow, or 24, or 26, or 28, or 30, or 32, it's all irrelevant. At any of those prices, it's not like I'm going out there to sell Palantir. The only thing I'm more inclined to do is buy more Palantir shares, and that's, if it goes lower. So, that's just kind of some food for thought in regards to that. If anybody was disappointed and I gave up the gains, there's Wall Street playing their games back and forth. There's short-term games about, is Palantir going to beat enough to hit the numbers? I'm sure if the revenue was up 25% instead of 21%, I'm sure the stock would be up to $27 after hours right now, or 28, right? But that's the whole game of Wall Street. And once again, you as an investor in the market, you've got to split apart the game of Wall Street, which is how much did you beat earnings? Did you beat it enough? Oh, were you going into earnings? Were you stock up? Was your stock down? Splitting off from that to what's actually going on with the fundamentals of the company. We're dealing with a company with nearly $4 billion of cash equivalents, treasuries, investments versus no debt. Dealing with a company that's profitability is exploding higher, income from operations, net income, revenue up substantially. We're dealing with a company here that clearly is keeping cost in mind and is clearly focused on profitability. And we're dealing with a company that clearly has more and more customers coming to them. And those customers are having success, and those customers end up wanting to spend more with them and tell good stories that other CEOs and CFOs listen to. And so I like everything I see here. Things are lining up just as I thought they would, but maybe even better, okay? Love it, love it, love it. Alrighty, guys, hope you enjoyed today's video. Appreciate y'all. Once again, my Palantir community is absolutely phenomenal. If you're looking to join us in there, apply to join my private group. That will be the pinned comment down there. You can fill out an application. You get access to all my course curriculums. You get access to the Palantir chat, and you also get access to so many other valuable chats. We have a great Meta community, NVIDIA, obviously the Palantir community, the PayPal community is phenomenal. The Tesla community is phenomenal. And even, we've got a lot of communities in there that aren't stocks I own, but have great communities like Apple, AMD, Baba, Bros, Dutch Bros, Celsius, Enphase, Google, stocks like that as well, okay? So that's pinned comment down there if you're looking to join us in there. I'm very happy with my Palantir earnings here, okay? Much love and have a great day.